Hello. I was nosying around on Banggood the other day looking at radio controlled model related stuff, as I do fairly often, and I spied this little plane here, and this is one of the things that I was kind of surprised that I hadn't noticed before, because judging from the reviews at the bottom of the page, it looks like it's been there since late last year at least. And it's quite a quite a good looking kit and also fairly cheap. And I thought to myself, I haven't had a new radio controlled plane for, must be at least a week now. So I thought I would get it and see what it's like. And look at that, it's out of stock now. So I'm kind of glad I jumped on it when it was there. Um, there are three variants. There's this red, Dago red, whatever that means, variant. And then there's a sort of a bit more of an Air Force sort of a color scheme, and then there's this cool stars and stripes. Looks like the kind of thing you'd see at an air show doing a aerobatics display, doesn't it? Um, and it looks really nice, doesn't it? Yeah. Um, does over 430 miles per hour. Quite impressive. It's fairly small, 68 centimeters. And what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, quite a few people were saying they had missing parts in the kit, more than one person at least. Anyway, you can look at that for yourself, I suppose. But so I was a little bit worried about that, but fortunately, mine seems to have arrived with everything in it. And so let's have a look at what I got. Obviously, I haven't built this and flown it yet, so I'm just sort of doing a first look at this stage. But you can see, these are my hands, so, or you can see from the 1 centimeter squares on the desk that it's pretty small. That's the whole thing there. It almost fits in my webcam. No, not quite. The foam that it's made from is EPO, apparently. But if we have a little look at, what was I going to look at? Hold on, there's another piece over here that I was going to compare it with. So this is my wing, which has seen better days. But if we look at the size of the granules, or whatever you call them, in the EPO foam on this one, this is what all of my EPO planes so far have looked like. But if we look at the foam, EPO foam on this P-51 model, it's really a lot smaller pieces of stuff that they've got in there. Apart from that, though, it seems fairly similar. And I think the reason that they've gone with that foam is that they are really going for quite a nice scale look. As you can see, there's a decal stuck on there. At this point, I haven't done anything, so all these decals on here and those decals on there, all of the paint and everything was done. This is I've just taken it out of the box. That's all I've done. You can actually read the numbers and well, you can see MPH in the right hand side anyway. Quite impressive. So to mold things like this, I think they must have needed to use this smaller grain EPO instead of the larger grain EPO. So anyway, this is a cockpit, obviously, and there's also this little plastic cover thing, which it looks like you've got to cut this off because I found that it wouldn't fit on like that. So it's supposed to, you stick it on there and you cut it off so that it fits exactly, so it fits exactly around the edge of where the paint stops, I think. And then that will be a nice looking canopy. And presuming that it goes into there, and I say presuming because even though I didn't have any missing parts in my kit, at least from what I can tell, the instructions were of course conspicuously absent, as they quite often are with this class of stuff that comes out of China. But that's alright, it's not too complicated. Actually, strangely, this one was shipped from California. That's a bit strange. First time I've ever had a Banggood package that came from California. So inside here, let me just pull this off. I just stuck the firewall in there to hold it together a bit better while I'm carrying it around. So we can see, again, some fairly intricate molding inside here. And this is where the firewall goes, so your motor is going to have to be pretty long, or you're going to have to sort of have a longer shaft on it to get the top out to here. And then we've got a tray for our battery, which I think you'd struggle to put a 3S battery. It's just little bit tall. But actually, I'll see if I can fit my 3S 1000 battery in here, and I'll put a photo up at the top here if I try that, if I remember later. But it looks like it's a bit tight for 3S in general. And that's where you're going to have to put the battery. You're not going to be able to put it anywhere else by the looks of it. This tray here would be for your receiver, I presume, and then there'll be one servo on each side. So we have pretty much just a mirror image of everything on the other side of the inside of the fuselage. So one of these would be rudder, one of them would be elevator. Not sure if I'll use rudder actually, because I found that when I'm flying a plane I just completely forget that it exists and I just never use it. And the other reason is that the rudder came separately. This one doesn't look so flash actually, it's a little bit sort of crusty looking. Well, that side looks good. But this is actually probably the roughest made part in the whole kit. The rest of it is really, really nice and well finished. But as we'll see later, they give you some little hinge pieces that you've got to poke. Oh jeez, that you've got to poke into here and poke into here, and then get it to sort of sit there. I'm kind of tempted just to tape it on and have it fixed and just not fly with any rudder, to be honest. See how it goes, but I don't think I can be bothered with that. I noticed that all of the servo horn attachment thingies, or whatever you call it, with the 4 screws there, they are the nice version which uses the screws on each side instead of the bit rougher sort of version like on the wing that use these zip tie, almost like a zip tie thing that you shove in like that. I don't like those a whole lot. You've got to hot glue them up, or otherwise they just sort of come loose and flap around a little bit. But the screw-in ones like these, you can see there on the wing as well, I like those a lot more. So hopefully we won't have any jiggly ailerons or anything like that. So another thing that I noticed here was that you are going to have to cut this little section out, I think, in order to fit the stabilizer on, because it's not going to go through that hole, and the length of that hole is exactly what you need to put in there. So you wouldn't want to cut this, obviously, would you? So I'm guessing you've got to cut that to get it in, otherwise there's no other way to do it. I don't see any way to do it anyway. I noticed that the tail, it's a little bit hard to show you on camera, but the tail is tipped a little bit over to that way, so it's sort of leaning to the right, the starboard of the model a little bit. I don't think that's going to be an issue, because when you look at it vertically it's straight, which is the main thing. Actually, you know, that might be a good reason to have the rudder, because then I could trim it properly while I'm flying. Huh. Yeah, maybe I should have the rudder as a properly functioning component. What else have we got to look at? Okay, there's the wing. The wing has an interesting way of doing the ailerons. So you put the servo in the middle, and this groove is for the wire, I think. And then you must have to use one of the servo horns with a extension on both sides, so it's going to rotate like this. And then you'll have a tie rod to here and here. And actually, let me just show you what I'm talking about. So you get these. Let's see if I can open this. All right, so you got one of these. Well, you got 2 of these. It's just a tie rod that's bent in 90-degree angles, and also at 90 degrees to each other, the bends. This one has a thread on the end, so you can. What would you put on there? Okay, maybe I should build this before I start talking about it too much. But hopefully you can see how this works. So the servo will be. This will be put in there from the bottom, and there is on the bottom here there's a groove which has one little fat part there at each end, so there's another fat part there, and those would be for these little plastic, what do you call it, hinges I guess they are, would sit into there, so you've got to glue those in. And then this piece at the end would be sitting in there, and you also need to cut, sorry I keep getting everything off the camera, don't I? So you also got to cut the edges of the aileron there to free them up, and then screw this down and it will work like that. So that's a pretty neat idea, I think, because you can keep your servo right in the center. Yeah, so I really like it so far. It's almost too pretty to fly. I was saying to my friend today, we were chatting online, and we noticed that, you know, in the photos it's up on a stand, what do you call it, on a display stand in some of these pictures, and it's almost that kind of a model, you know. It's really is very nice looking, but of course I will fly it, you know. That's what I bought it for. I'm not going to put it on a stand. Yeah, so quite a bit of work has already gone into this. You can see here, hopefully you can see there's a decal on there that's been stuck on. I'm assuming that has to be done by hand. It's hard to show really, but that is a hand applied decal, I would assume. All looks very, very nice though. Plane's name is Janie, and this bit on here is more decal. So all of these details are hand applied already when you get the kit. What's this? Something fell off. That's right. Anyway, so what else do we have? We have a couple of stickers, and then propeller, spinner. Also looks quite nice. This is not a decal actually, that's painted I think. And this is yet another grade of EPO. These granules in this EPO are slightly bigger than what we have on the plane, on the rest of the plane, but they're still about half the size or even smaller than the granules that are in the wing. Very pretty, isn't it? Look. Yeah, I was quite surprised for 40 bucks that you'd get something like this. Alright, anyway, the last thing in the kit is a big old bunch of thingies. So you got the servo horn connector things. You have what looks like, I'm not sure if these are spares or what. Maybe you do need to use these somewhere else. You have this base plate to, I think this is for if you want to put it on a stand. Because there's a little place for that in the bottom of the wing where you can attach that. There are some exhaust pipes, so they've really gone all out. Like I say, they've gone all out for a scale look. The air intake for the engine is a nice plastic piece, and that's about it, I think. There's guns. Jenny's got a gun. 6 guns. Jenny's got 6 guns. Oh, and there's this thing here too. Or maybe this is for the stand. Not really sure what that is. Oh, I wonder if this is it might be that you can screw. Actually, that's probably, oh yeah, that's what that is there. So this, maybe you can screw. Yeah, I see. So you could screw the wing on to attach it. That's quite nice, isn't it? So as you can see, I don't know a whole lot about it at this point, but I'm quite impressed with the kit for 40 bucks that you get all that stuff, and it looks so nice. It remains to be seen how well it flies, and one thing I'm kind of struggling with at the moment is thinking what kind of a motor I'm going to put on here. They say something a little bit crazy like a, what is it? 2730 2000 kV. Do they even exist? You know, maybe I should put this video up as is now, and people can tell me what to do with it in case I've missed anything. Usually I won't put up a video until I've actually flown something to show. But maybe I can get some tips on that. Yeah, how about that? Give me some tips. 68 centimeters, 260 grams. It's going to have to be pretty fast, I think. So, from my experience with the Bonsai, a 2-cell on 2000 kV was weak as shit. And this plane is probably going to have to go quite a bit faster than the Bonsai. So I'm not seeing this motor on a 2-cell as being up to the task. And also, if you can think of a nice way to mount it, I guess. Oh, that's not a problem. I don't really know how to mount this prop. Let's have a look at that while we're here. Don't break it. We have what looks like a 3mm shaft. It's quite small. Yeah, it's 3mm because this is a 3mm screw and it fits in there just nicely. So, what do you reckon? 3mm shaft. Is that normal on motors? I'm not too familiar with plane motors. I was thinking that I'd be able to just use one of my quadcopter motors on this, but I don't think a mini quad motor, maybe a 2205, would that be enough? I don't know. 2205, 2600 kV, which I don't have. Something like that might work perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, so this is just going to be a first look video, I'm afraid, because, like I say, I don't quite know what to do about some of it, and I'm just soliciting some tips, and also because it's going to take quite a bit of work to get it all put together and set up. So yeah, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.